everybody, welcome back to part 3 of Attempted Optimism Podcast, top 5 favorite things about the fall. That's a tongue twister. This week we reveal what our top 2 favorite things about the fall are. Make sure you drop a comment, like, and subscribe. So what do
you already kind of mentioned it.
All right, what do you got for me?
It's basically, so I kind of added a bit to it.
Okay.
But basically what it is bonfires.
Yeah, I love a good bonfire.
And I put / explosives.
Oh.
And here's where that comes in. So
wait, but okay, go ahead. Then I'll ask my question if you don't answer it. No, okay. I want you to continue. I just had a question, but you might answer it in your explanation here.
Yeah. So 2 things that make me that make me a big fan of these things. My brother and I and some friends rented a house for a conference, a Bible conference.
Yeah.
Out in the mountains, Appalachia. Or no, Smoky?
Smoky Appalachia.
Smokiest of the Appalachians. Anyway.
Mountain ranges.
Mountain range. And so we went up there, and it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, cold. It was cool. But we were in the mountains, so we're going to have a fire, right?
Absolutely.
So, there's this cottage up in the woods that we got, and it had power, water, no cell service, so it was really nice. We just played board games pretty much the entire week.
Absolutely.
But outside there was a hot tub.
Yep.
And over the ledge of the hot tub there was a little grassy area where there was like a campfire place.
Yeah.
No official thing, but
of course. Yeah.
Thing. And then immediately off of that, like maybe 5 to 6 feet away, there was this creek that kind of flowed down the mountain. And on the other side of that, just trees on trees all the way up the mountain. And my brother and I wanted to have a bonfire because it's something, my dad taught us how to make fires, the whole deal, flint and steel kind of thing. And
you're a real outdoorsman.
The real outdoorsman. We were wearing our flannel. Yes, we were, sir.
In our hiking boots.
In our hacking boots and khakis.
Okay.
I don't know why that's a part of it. But,
corduroy.
We did have pants on, rest assured. But what was most nostalgic about this, and it was something you kind of talked about, where it's kind of like, I don't need to be in the snow. I just need to be able to appreciate it, and see it, and kind of feel it, and all that kind of stuff. And it's ASMR as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love a fire. And so the smell of it's my favorite.
Yeah, exactly. We set this fire, and everybody was kind of enjoying it. Obviously, you're going to have s'mores. S'mores are a big thing. Yeah. I never partake in s'mores because 1, they're messy, and I don't like texture on my hands. And 2, I'm not a big fan of desserts, sweet stuff.
What?
I'm not a big fan of s'mores. That's the way it is.
Oh my
Sorry, Bubba.
Gosh.
Sorry, but
I need a minute.
Okay, all right.
All right. I mean, I guess you can continue. I don't want to have people waiting, but like, are you kidding me? Like, s'mores are like top 3 desserts in the world.
We're not on that list right now.
Top 3 desserts in the world. Change my mind.
Change your mind. I would like a s'more if there was a way to consume it that wasn't so messy. I have a disorder. I don't know what the deal is.
No, it's fine.
Like,
I mean, everybody
on my hands.
Yeah, to each their own. That's fine. Yeah.
You're a freak, but okay.
I mean, if first thing we do if we ever get together around a campfire is make sure I'm eating your s'mores, because like, double for me. Jokes on everybody else.
And I'll enjoy watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Weirdo. All right. Okay.
Anyway, so we were sitting there enjoying our fellowship together, and then everybody else left.
Yeah.
And the rule my dad taught us was to be responsible with fire, you know, the whole Smokey the Bear deal.
Yep.
And so we always, instead of like pouring a bunch of water on the fire, we don't like to do that. We just
ruins it for the next fire.
Exactly. We like to let it die. And so my brother and I literally sat there in utter silence.
Best.
For like 4 hours or something. And it's probably some of the best time I've
just
spent
enjoyed
with
the fire.
Enjoying the crackling fire. You could hear birds or bats off in the tree, the snapping of a twig somewhere, probably some giant bear coming to kill us, or seeing the moon come across the clouds. It was something so beautiful and so perfect that you just wanted to hold on to that.
Yeah. And
so I remember that. And then the other thing was kind of the polar opposite of that kind of scenario.
Sounds like it. I know where we're going here.
You probably do know where we're going. My when I got married, we got married at a very special place to us. The Salvation Army owns camps all across the territories of the Salvation Army in the United States. And when it's off season, you can rent those camps.
Yep.
Spoiler alert. And my family and her family wanted to, because we met at this camp and we, spent time at this camp while we were dating, engaged, the whole thing. And it's a very special place to both of our families. My parents kind of grew up going to that camp, and her parents had spent time there as well. And so we wanted to get married at the chapel that's at that camp. And so to do that, we wanted to spend the whole weekend up there. And so Friday to Sunday, we were up there and just having a good time, spending time with one another's families and all that kind of stuff. And then came the time for the bachelor party. And I had a bit of a bachelor party in Nashville where we went and played laser tag all night.
Dope.
Which was
love it, bro.
Pretty tight.
I love you were hitting kids with the gun, weren't you?
You got a pistol with
bro. Yeah. If they're going to try to laser you, then we'll just hit it.
Man, don't step onto this. Okay. Anyway,
laser tag is an adult. It's a different style.
So for my what I call my actual bachelor party, me and my groomsmen and all these people got together and we went down to the lake, this massive lake, and we had this giant bonfire. I mean the wood stack was up to my head.
It's unbelievable.
And so we were just at that point throwing pallets and stuff, all kinds of crap.
Yeah, that's really good. Really good. That's a great idea.
And then we had also purchased probably a couple $1,000s worth of fireworks.
My gosh, dude.
And so we're not talking about the big, artillery shells. Although they were present, they were there. We were shooting Roman candles at each other. We were, I lit several bottle rockets and put them upside down in my brother's back pocket and blew the whole pocket off. It was pretty great.
Oh my gosh.
Several people were injured during this thing.
Please do not do these things. Please do not do these things.
And then all of a sudden my dad comes walking up the camp road or down the lake road. And we're like, all right, everybody chill out really quick. Like just calm down a little bit while my dad's here. Because he's it's my dad and he wants to come spend some time with us. And so he comes down and I'll never forget this. And he's just talking to everybody and, enjoying the time. We're all just kind of joking and drinking Ale 8s in the glass bottle.
Never had one still.
Try it out. It's
I'll have to try it.
It's an acquired taste, but
that's funny because ginger ale is my favorite drink.
Oh, then you'll probably like it.
Yeah, everybody says they're good.
It's very different. It's very different.
That's what everybody says.
But, but anyway, we're just enjoying the time, and all of a sudden, my dad, who's like us, enjoys fire, enjoys being near one, a crackling fire. So he goes and he's standing at the fire a little bit, just kind of looking into it. And it's probably the flames. I think were licking like 8, 9, 10 feet high. And so he's standing near the bonfire, and all of a sudden everybody's just kind of sort of paying attention. And my dad turns around and runs, doesn't say anything to anybody.
Oh my gosh.
He had let go of an artillery shell, the ones that are meant to go way up in the sky.
Yeah,
and
the
blow
big
up.
ones. Yeah.
He had thrown one into the fire.
So,
and basically, those things have 2 balls, which are these big explosions with colors and lights and all that. And then they have a charge that sets it off and sends it up.
Oh, absolutely.
The charge pops off.
Of course.
And so it goes and it hits the truck, which is sitting there, my dad's truck.
Yeah.
And it bounces off of that. And I think it blows up like 2 feet away from my brother.
Oh, absolutely.
Who had already been exploded like 3 times that night.
Yeah.
And it goes and explodes on the ground. So there's this massive fireball on the ground. And then what we didn't realize was it was a double shot. So another
round 2. Here we go.
Somewhere off in the trees. And so that was kind of like, there were moments where like people were like running and jumping over the fire as it was kind of coming down. And
absolutely.
And there's 2 very different scenarios happening, and both of them are
unbelievable.
Some of my favorites around fires and stuff like that. So that's my top.
I love it.
Activity.
Yeah, I mean,
thing about fall
that you love. Yeah, absolutely. And for the record, I love a good bonfire. I love to sit next to it. I have great memories. I melted the bottom of one of my shoes one time sitting next to a fire. I was like chilling, didn't realize, melted the whole rubber underneath my shoe. Good times. I'm not a big fan of fireworks. I worked for a firework company, so I don't really mess with them anymore for the most part.
Stuff,
yeah. Have you not heard that story? Right? You're talking about things exploding, right? So we did a fireworks show. So we did like the professional grade fireworks shows, the big ones, the mortars you're talking about, right? And the way, for anybody who's interested, the way that you build the things that shoot off those mortars is just literally racks, which is part of what my job was. You build a rack and you cut out holes in it and you put giant, head-sized PVC pipes, and they sit down in the bottom of that with a hole in the bottom. And then you drop the mortars in and you light them and they shoot up into the sky to make sure they go the right directions. That's why you have these PVC stands. Well, we did a fireworks show, and the guy goes to light it right to let the go. And as he walks away, the stand falls. The problem is the stand fell at the crowd. And so what happened was these mortar shells are shooting off across the ground, skipping and exploding into a crowd, and like smoke is coming and people are screaming and running. And, it's just one of those things where you realize like, oh, so this is kind of like a war.
This is Baghdad now. This is Baghdad.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of them. And then the other one was when my wife and I worked at camp right before we went to seminary. They do a fireworks show every 4th of July. And the camp we were at, they would do it on the soccer field or the softball field. They're kind of like for combined little, and all around this is just giant trees, right? And they did one of like the professional grade shows. The problem is that for whatever reason, the fireworks weren't going as high as they should have. So they were still exploding, but the problem is they were kind of exploding within the tree range. And it when I tell you it sounded like a war zone, I am not lying. You could hear it all through the camp, and it sounded like we were in the middle of Iraq or something. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was, and like people were standing like 10 feet away, and I was like a solid 400, 500 meters away, and I'm like, how are your eardrums still intact? Like it sounds like we're being shot at. But so fireworks and I really don't vibe that well. But
sure.
Here's my number one. My favorite thing about fall, and this is a controversial one, and I will tell you why. For me, number one is corn mazes. I grew up in Kansas. We had one of the most incredible corn mazes, really, of all time. And all these people like North Dakota and South Dakota and Iowa are like, you don't know nothing about corn mazes. All right, just let me have it, okay? You're not better than us, all right? Just because you have less cell service and bigger fields, okay? It doesn't make you better.
Great mountain ranges.
But yeah, I mean, I grew up in Kansas, and they would do these unbelievable corn mazes, and they'd get these aerial views, and they were always new designs every year, and the corn's up above your head, and it was unbelievable. There was always like, it's not just like going to a corn maze. Like as a kid, you loved it because you would break the rules and you'd go hide in the corn and try to scare each other, or you'd make it a race to see who could get to the end of the corn maze first. But before you ever went into the corn maze, you could of course get like hot apple cider, and you could get funnel cakes, and you could go. There was places where you could bob for apples, which 100% I would never do. That's not sanitary. That's absolutely disgusting. Quit bobbing for apples. Shouldn't be a thing. It's the reason why coronavirus is a thing this year.
Yeah. Y'all did COVID. Yeah. Y'all did it.
Just wait. Spiking COVID cases as soon as the apple orchards open up for some apple bobbing. So you could do that. But the other thing you could do is they had these little the miniature pumpkins, and they had cannons that you could shoot them out of, like to try to hit targets and stuff. Unbelievable. Like you load it in and like launch, it would shoot, and you would try to hit targets. Incredible. But I just love corn mazes. We would do it as huge groups of friends. Our parents would come and drop us off, and they'd sit and drink coffee or whatever and just hope that we didn't get kicked out. There's such a nostalgia for me. And I say it's so controversial because as an adult, it's the same trip where we went to where I went to North Carolina. We went with a group of friends. I think there was 3 couples. I can't remember. There was a big group of us, and I wanted to go to a corn maze, and we looked one up, and it was like a really nice corn maze, and I was incredibly excited, and we went, and I loved it. The problem is that everybody else hated it. Right, we have 2 couples from Florida. My wife, who grew up in Oklahoma, but I don't think corn mazes were really like a thing for them. And everybody else was like, "This is the stupidest thing we've ever done. It's just walking through corn." And I'm like, "Yeah, that is what it is. It's walking through corn, but it is what, like, it's a quintessential part of fall for me. And they just hated it. They absolutely hated it. And we, there's actually one close here in West Texas. We went last year, I think, and we found out, like, it's not much of a corn maze. Like, the corn, like, comes up to your ankles. Like,
it's like half an acre.
But the rest of it was, like, it was unbelievable. Like, they had these big slides, you know, you go down on the potato sacks. They had a petting farm. They had, you know, just really cool stuff. So we're going to go again this year if we don't have a baby between now and then. Or maybe if we do have a baby between now and then and she's old enough to go. But it's just one of those things where it's like, it's so incredibly important for me. And it's something I love about fall. And it's something I always want to do every fall if I can. But some people just don't hate it, and quite frankly, a lot of people just have never been to one. Have you ever been to a corn maze?
I went to one corn maze in my whole life, and it was like half an acre one. Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it was not like. I think what I would enjoy out of a corn maze is going with somebody that enjoys corn mazes. Yeah. And I think that would be fine. Like, that would be good for me.
You would enjoy, like, if we went to a corn maze. Like, we could make a vlog out of it. It would be enjoyable. Like, but I don't think people, like, if people had grown up, like, in Kansas around, like, the corn maze we went to, like, I mean, thousands, like, tens of thousands of people went to this corn maze every year. And every year it got bigger and better. Like, I remember one year we went, and it must have been, we were like 14, 15, 16 years old. They had like a bridge they had built that went over a whole section of the corn maze. So like you would get to it and you would walk over corn. They had built the bridge just for that. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. You know, like, who comes up with these things? The amount of work that these people went into for literally like a sideshow for the year. You know, it's like, come and walk through our corn. But like, I don't know. It's just, there's something unbelievable about it. I'm a very nostalgic person. So like things like that really, they hit different for me. And so when I can enjoy them and go and be a part of them, any chance I get, I will, to kind of hit that nostalgia, and enjoy it. So I'd love to go back to Kansas one of these days and actually go to that corn maze and just walk through it. And I think it would be incredibly different now with kids, because I mean, kids get to enjoy the magic of something like walking through corn, which again, for some adults is like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But to see it like kids enjoy something like that. Yeah. So that's for me, number one thing for fall. But I think like all five of those could go at any point on that list. I think they're all ranked number one.
All at once. How about all at once?
Yeah, I mean,
bonfire in a corn maze.
Absolutely. That's not a disaster waiting to happen at all. No chance that corn maze catches on fire and everybody's stuck inside of it.
But that's the point. Okay, you're on one side of a corn maze, and on the other side of the corn maze is the exit. We're setting this side on the corn maze on fire in like 5 minutes. How
quickly does that become like a hell on earth scenario where you realize I'm surrounded by 20-foot flames and I have to run as fast as I can to get out? I mean, it's not funny because I'm sure it's happened somewhere.
I'm just picturing you like getting cut from like the corn leaves.
Yeah. I mean, while we're talking about corn, since I grew up in Kansas, you talk about something dangerous. I remember as a kid, my friend, he lived out in the country and like way in the country. And, one of his neighbors had 3 giant cornfields, massive. Mm-hmm. And what we thought was fun as kids, and right now looking back, I feel horrible. But we used to get on his 4-wheelers and see how fast we could drive through his cornfields. And it wasn't like drive the paths that are naturally put through a cornfield. It was how many stalks can we destroy going 50 on a.
Let's make a maze.
And when you talk about dangerous, corn hits back, and it hits back hard. Okay, so like you're driving like 20 miles an hour on a 4-wheeler through a corn maze, and nobody's smart enough to put a helmet on, and like stalks of corn are coming back to fight you. Yeah, like there's no joke. And I feel horrible about that because we like used to. I mean, think back now, and you're like, you're destroying that man's livelihood. But yeah, there's something different about a corn maze, and really different about Kansas in the fall.
Yeah, that was one of the close runner-ups for me, was the festivals.
Yeah.
And in fact, I wrote festival feeling, and it's like that whole thing you're talking about with like turkey legs and pumpkin cannon.
When do medieval times happen? The fall. It's when it's meant to happen. Medieval times, unbelievable. Yeah. You talk about stuff like that. It always happens in the fall. Yeah. You talk about haunted houses, even if you're not a haunted houses person. Like, there was always some good ones where you could like ride a hayride through like a big forest or leaves or whatever, and they would try to like jump scare you and stuff like that. Right. I love stuff. I got really burnt out on. We've just kind of rambled off here at the end. That's okay. We can do what we want. It's our podcast. But if you're still listening, then joke's on you. We're still talking. But I got burnt out. I got burnt out on haunted houses. Like, for one, I'm not a big, like, I don't really like to be scared. Like, for me, that's not like a kick. I'm not like, woohoo, let's go be terrified by people. But I got burnt out. There was this thing called Guts, Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a giant church that does a haunted house. The problem is that it's like, it's no longer like a jump scare. It's like, you've actually destroyed my soul a little bit. So like, there's different sections. So like, first section is like the jump scare clowns thing, like ha ha ha, you know, like boo, scared you. Second section is you walk in and it smells like alcohol, and there's a bus that's crashed, and there's like fake bodies everywhere, and it's like a school bus. So it's like meant to depict like a drunk driver ran into this bus and killed a bunch of kids. No. Section 3. Worse, huh? Section 3 is a lunchroom, and you know, people sitting at tables and stuff, and all of a sudden you hear gunshots and stuff, and people start falling over and dying, and then like you know, you're like, so that's Section 3. Section 4 is you walk in and it's like bodies on tables being mutilated and stuff, and people jumping out of like sections of the walls and off the tables and stuff. Okay, you think it's getting better? It's not going to get better. Section 5 was what they called, I think it was called the demon cage, and they walk you into this giant cage, and there are demons coming from above you, below you, beside you, and the lights are flickering black and white, so you don't know where the demon's going to be next when it moves. And so like, you'll open, like your eyes are open and the light will come on, and there's a guy 2 feet away from you coming through the cage. All right. Section 6, like, woohoo, it's just only getting better. Section 6 is literally a guy nailed to a cross. Okay, he's not nailed, but he's looks like he's nailed to the cross. And like, you can see blood, and he's moaning, and like, it's all red, and then they come out at the end, and they're like, "Would you like to know Jesus?" And you're like, "No. I want to go home."
Judgment house,
dude. We're talking about a judgment. Yeah.
Can I be honest with you for a hot second? Yeah. We probably need to do an episode where we talk about the horrible stuff that Christians put people through.
We really should, because that would be top of the list. I'll just have to cut this section and just put it into the next one.
I had a bunch of
you got to save it
in a congregation from somewhere else that like wanted me to do one, and I was like,
no. Hard pass.
Never.
So that really burnt me out on like the whole scary section of the fall season, because it's like,
also oddly enough, church.
I have no comment on that as a pastor, but yeah.
Do you want to know Jesus? Not after that. No, thank you.
Hard pass. I'm going to Krispy Kremes. I'm sad.
You guys, the ones that put this together, and
I'd like to talk to your manager. So anyways, I'm not the whole like haunted house, like the whole bit is kind of burnt out for me, because like we would go every year, not every year, but like for three or 4 years we went like every year, and it was like, and the crazy thing is we stood in line for like 2 hours for that. Like thousands and thousands of people go to that. They have a whole gym, so if you can imagine, like not like one of the smaller gyms, but like a big like NBA style gym, and they put a whole path from wall to wall that you walk through to get, like, you're waiting in line, and there's like big screens of like, they play Christian music for you, and like the pastor does like a message while you're standing there, and then they put you through that, and then at the end it's like, "Would you like to know Jesus?" And you're like, "Are you a part of the show, or is this Section 7? Because I'm still scared." But yeah, so that's fall in a nutshell. We're just gonna end on that note. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the Attempted Optimism Podcast.
Yucky.
We hope you enjoy this. We hope you enjoy the change of format. We hope it kind of shakes things up. It's a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more easy to digest. I think we certainly will enjoy it. I think we talk about this all the time, but I think this is probably one of my favorite episodes we've ever done, just because we're talking about things we love, and we love the fall. Again, if you're still listening, type in the comments, let us know what your favorite things about fall are. Make sure you link us what your favorite foods are so we can try them, and we will see you next week for another episode.